This is the story of a man who changed the world, a visionary who saw the future not in complex code, but in the palm of your hand. He imagined a world where technology wasn't cold and distant, but personal, intuitive, and beautiful. A world where the most powerful tools could be used by anyone, from a child to a grandparent, connecting us in ways we had only dreamed of. He didn't just want to build computers, he wanted to create bicycles for the mind. But this journey to the future didn't begin in a pristine laboratory or a high-rise office. It started in a garage with little more than spare parts and a powerful, unwavering belief. Before he could build an empire, he was an outcast. Before he could inspire millions, he was told his ideas were foolish. First, he was rejected, lost, and broke. A college dropout searching for purpose, sleeping on friends' floors, and returning soda bottles for food money. He was a wanderer, a seeker, driven by a relentless curiosity that others often misunderstood. This wasn't the story of an overnight success. It was the story of a relentless climb from the very bottom. His name was Steve Jobs. The story of Steve Jobs begins in 1955, born in San Francisco. He was placed for adoption, a decision that would profoundly shape his destiny. His journey led him to Paul and Clara Jobs, a kind, working-class couple from Mountain View, California. They weren't the college graduates his biological parents had hoped for, but they offered something more valuable: unconditional love and a promise to send him to college. They became his family, simple and devoted, providing a foundation of stability in a life that would be anything but ordinary. From an early age, he felt a sense of being different, of not quite fitting in. He didn't have a perfect life. The knowledge of his adoption created a complex inner world, a feeling of being abandoned that fueled a relentless drive to prove his worth. This internal struggle became a quiet engine, pushing him to see the world from a unique perspective. When the time came for higher education, he enrolled in Reed College, an expensive liberal arts school. But the financial burden on his parents was immense. Seeing their life savings dwindle for a formal education he found uninspiring, he made a difficult choice. He dropped out of college because he couldn't afford to continue in a way that felt meaningless. But his departure from the formal curriculum was not an end to his education. In fact, it was the true beginning. He never stopped learning. Free from required classes, he began to drop in on subjects that truly fascinated him, like a now famous course on calligraphy. He slept on friends' floors, returned Coke bottles for cash, and embraced a life of intellectual curiosity, unconstrained by grades or degrees. This period of hardship and exploration wasn't a failure. It was a crucible, forging the unconventional thinking that would one day change the world. It all began in a place you'd least expect. Not in a grand corporate office, but in a small, cluttered garage in California. This humble space, filled with spare parts, tangled wires, and the scent of solder, became the unlikely cradle of a revolution. Here, with his brilliant friend Steve Wozniak, a young Steve Jobs poured all his energy and vision into a shared dream. They weren't just building machines, they were crafting a new future, one circuit board at a time. They called their fledgling company Apple. It was a name that was simple, friendly, and completely different from the cold corporate names of the tech giants of the day. Their mission was fueled by pure, unadulterated passion. They believed that computers shouldn't just be for corporations or experts. They envisioned a personal computer, a tool that could empower everyone, a device that could change the way we work, create, and connect. Slowly, painstakingly, their vision started to take hold. The first Apple computers, built by hand, began to find their way into the world. Word began to spread. From a garage workshop to the desks of innovators and early adopters, Apple started to grow. It wasn't an overnight explosion, but a steady, determined climb. The passion they had poured into their work was infectious, and soon the world started to take notice. Apple was becoming successful. But then, something unexpected happened. Steve Jobs was fired from his own company. Imagine losing everything you built. He was devastated. But he didn't give up. He started new companies. One of them became Pixar. And years later, Apple needed him back. He returned stronger. He introduced the iPhone and changed the world forever. Steve Jobs proved one thing: failure is not the end. It is the beginning.